So far in your notes, you should have this page completely filled out. Whether or not you've colored it, that is up to you. It does help to color it. As you color it and fill more things out, it helps you remember what we're talking about. So we've started talking about the cell cycle. And most of this page is dealing with the interphase part of the cycle. And then today we're going to focus on mitosis, which is this little purple part of this whole cycle. So mitosis is just a little part of the cycle, but it's an important part, so we spend some time on it and try to learn all of the different parts. So the next page of our notes looks like this. It says mitosis on the top. And of course, there's colors to remind you that you should be coloring this to make your notes look nice, and of course to help you learn and retain this information. So mitosis has 4 different stages, and so we're going to talk about those stages, and then the interphase, which was what we did previously. So what is mitosis, or the cell cycle? Cells grow and duplicate their internal structures, and that is what we're going to be talking about today. So you fill in the blank and you're writing the word grow, and that's all you need to write, so make sure you write that in there. Okay, one of the first phases is prophase. So we need to know what's going on during this phase, and you did some of that on your own. On Friday, you took some notes through a PowerPoint, and now we're taking some more notes. So prophase, the nucleus disappears, so you are writing the word disappears, and I know these words are kind of touching each other because I transferred it into Google Slides and it was a PowerPoint, so it didn't transfer so nicely. So you're writing the word disappears in your blank, and then spindle fibers, F-I-B-E-R-S, spindle fibers form, and then DNA condenses to chromosomes. This is probably the hardest word to see, but it's C-H-R-O-M-O-S-O-M-E-S, chromosomes, which are really important. All right, the next phase is metaphase. And this was always my favorite phase because it was easy for me to remember that they line up in the middle. It starts with M, and which also is the name of the phase. So chromosomes align along the middle, so you are actually writing the word middle of the cell. This one is easy to recognize when you're looking at diagrams as well. Spindle, once again you're writing that word, spindle fibers attach to chromosomes. So you're writing spindle and attach. The next phase is what we call anaphase. And notice in this diagram, you have an arrow going to this word apart. Anaphase, apart. So in metaphase, we were coming together. In anaphase, we're coming apart. So at this phase, chromosomes separate, and you're writing the word separate, at the centromere and move apart. You're writing the word apart. And then chromosomes are pulled toward opposite, so you're writing this word opposite. Poles of the cell by the spindle fibers. So the spindle fibers is what is actually helping these chromosomes come apart. All right, in telophase. In telophase, chromosomes unwind into thin strands of DNA. So you are writing the word unwind. Chromosomes unwind into thin strands of DNA. Our spindle fibers disappear. We don't need them anymore. So they disappear. The nuclear membrane, so you're writing nuclear, reappears as two nuclei are formed. And we're going to draw what happens in the circle at the end. So the circles, we're going to draw what's going on. Right now, we're just trying to fill in the blanks. All right, so what is cell division? Cell division is the actual splitting. So you're writing splitting. Splitting of the cell membrane. Animal cells pinch apart while plant cells form a cell plate. So animal cells pinch apart while plant cells will form a cell plate. All right, so when you're checking your work, check your notes, make sure you've got all the key information that you need, and ask yourself, how do you visualize adding color to emphasize the most important parts? And that's how coloring helps you learn and retain. And what facts seem to be easy to remember? Like I was telling you for metaphase, that one's easy for me to remember because they line up in the middle. And what seems to be more challenging? So in all those things, the challenging things, maybe you can use some specific colors that you like that might help you be able to remember it. So this is a sample of what it can look like. And at this time, you want to work on coloring this and also drawing what is going on in the circles. Because on the quiz, you are going to need to know all of these phases and how to recognize them. And one thing I want you to see is this word right here, the PMAT. PMAT is a word that helps us remember the stages. P-M-A-T. Prophase. The spindle fibers start to form. Nucleus disappears. DNA turns into these little chromosomes. And each chromosome at this time is made up of 2 centromeres. Then M for metaphase, they line up in the middle. All these chromosomes, see they each have a pair. In anaphase, they're pulled apart. So now, instead of being paired up, they're just one. They're not paired up anymore. And so that way, we can have the membrane develop here, and then we break into 2 different cells. Okay, and then down at the bottom, we have this term cytokinesis. So there's a lot of terms that maybe you're not familiar with that we've been talking about. But cytokinesis is where it is going to create the cell membrane and divide into these 2 cells. And then it goes all the way back and it starts all over again. And that is why it's called a cell cycle.